Good evening, everyone. Is it audible? Let me share the link with others. We'll start the lecture just after 2 minutes, okay? So you can wait for 2 minutes. Let me share the link with others so that they can join. Let me share the link with others so that they can join. Let me share the link with others so that they can join. Let me share the link. Shubham, good evening. PDF is already shared in the group, okay? Good evening. Dheeraj Singh Rajput, good evening. PDF is already shared, Shubham, in the group itself. Is it? Yes, it is there in the group. Okay. Hello, Shundram. Good evening. Please download the PDF and come up with the PDF. Okay. And persons who are new to this lecture, they are suggested to come up with the PDF because Telegram group. Okay. Check your Telegram. I have shared with you. Chale. Okay. Let's start the lecture now. Yes, what I was saying is persons who are new to the lecture, they must know the mode of the learning here. As we people are from the mathematics optional or science optional generally, so we tend to have the logical mindset or way to prepare that. Okay, we don't waste our time in romanticism or stories. We are clear cut, notes are there. I just suggest you to follow those notes. The PDF is shared in the group. Okay, what I am here is just to tell you how to read or how to prepare those notes, what to focus over those, right? With the PYQs that is attached. Okay, so let's keep quiet now. Next 10 minutes, just focus on the words and that just focus on the words here. Chale. See, when I started our history, so obviously we start from the prehistoric, like Stone Ages, right? Then we moved on Indus Valley civilization. This was the lecture 1, lecture 2, lecture 3. Right. This was the lecture 3 which happened yesterday. Fair. What we need to observe is in the history, we should have a clear cut definition or the clarity in our mindset that why some topic is being studied at that particular place. So when you study, the board is, the camera is getting blurred, no issues. So after this, we will move on religious movements. कैमरा थोड़ी देर के लिए ब्लर करेगा, so don't panic, okay? Religious movements pre 6th century BC, right? What happens is if you observe this chronology, Indus Valley civilization, it was well developed, the urbanization, right? Urban culture, civilization. Vedic, they were the Rig Vedic, they were logical in nature, but as we come on the later Vedic period, we came up with some, you can say, diseases in our social strata. So what will happen if there will be discrimination in the society? Some new revolt or movement will come into the picture. So what happens when you study the later Vedic period? You will come to know there were many problems which were existing in the society. So to sort out those problems, what happens is some people will come up with the solution, right? So when you study the religious movement, you will come to know that pre 6th BCE, okay, there were almost 60 sects, okay, means some persons, some like good human souls, they thought ki they will come up with new solutions to kill the problems in the society which came up on the later Vedic period, right? So in those 60 sects, all were not dominants, right? There were some like revolutionary steps taken by those, but all sects were not at that intensity. What happens is, out of those, Buddhism and Zionism, they had a huge impact over the society or over the philosophies which we came up after the later Vedic period. Buddhism hit it at the max. So when we analyze our demand of UPSC, we will come to know that 80% questions are based on Buddhism, 15 to 70% are on Jainism, rest 2 to 3% are just based on different sects or small sects out of these 60, right? Vaishnavism and Saivism, that is fair, but that came into later part and mainly in the southern India. So for the religious movements, when you say it had a wide parameter, wide angle, but for our UPSC demand, we have very restricted demand here, right? What is that restriction? We have to study Buddhism, right? 70 to 75%. Zionism 15 to 20%, right? And other like Vaishnavists, so Vaishnavism and Saivism, right? That you can say 5 to 10%, not more than that. ठीक है? This is what UPSC का PYQs analysis said this. Fair? Chalo. This is clear? I hope so. Now, when I talk about Buddhism, okay, dears. So, to study Buddhism, to study Zionism, mainly please focus on these words. When you talk about Buddhism, ठीक है, ध्यान से सुनिएगा. Obviously, when I started the story, everything was just a revolt or some thought process against something, right? So you must realize what were the conditions at that 6th century BC, right? Conditions and the geography. ठीक? Why I always start with the geography? Because this is the only parameter which will tell you कि okay, why these revolts were started in the Gangetic region, right? Why Buddhism were not evolved in the southern India? What were the factors that it expanded over the southeast and China, but not in that much as the South India, right? So we must understand some background behind that. Okay. So when you understand the background behind Buddhism, you will realize कि let's say who has propagated it. So you will come up with the Siddhartha, right? When you analyze your PYQs, you will face some questions which were related to very much personal life of Siddhartha. Like 29 years of age mein he left home. Okay. His mother was from the Kolyan clan. Right. People may think कि such absurd facts we should not remember, but I would like to suggest you guys here. Okay, अब ऐसा नहीं है कि you will remember every clan or every personality associated with Siddhartha. Not at all. The reason why these clans and areas are important to remember because these will give you a kick why Buddhism spreaded over this Bihar and Nepal region. So, with this, you can have the political understanding or thought process about those reasons. So, if you find those notes, you will find such words there. Number first. Okay? So, don't ignore such words. So, number one is Buddha's background. Number two is his teachings. Okay. And number three is after Buddha, what happened? Okay. We must divide this topic into these subheadings. When you talk about his teachings, okay, so what you should learn first, ki if he is a teacher, then what is the background of him? Like, then you will come here, ki 29 years of age, he left the home, he wandered here and there. Who was his guru? ठीक है, you will come to know about the Sankhya philosophy. ठीक है, आलार कलाम. Okay, being from the logical attitude, initially I may thought ki what is this, these type of facts to remember, but when I analyze these steps, I realize ki yaar these are very much needed, because what happens, Buddha was like he was something retaliated over the later Vedic issues, or you can say the Hindu philosophy, what traditionally you call it as. Then why, what happens ki he went his against his guru? Is this the point? Means this is a important point to remember, and we should remember this name. Fair? Where he attained the enlightenment. Okay. So Bodh Gaya and Bodh Tari, like that. Fair? Fir when he attained that enlightenment, what he did means he started propagation. Propagation hoga to he will frame some organization or sangha, right? Sangha hoga, so there will be some rules associated with this. Rules ke andar mein maximum philosophy of Buddhism will come into the picture. So when you talk about Buddhist teachings, you must point out one thing, ki why it was originated, how it was propagated, whether it was harsh, means being the Buddhist monk is the only solution, or it was for the common man also. You should learn, right? Or what are those special principles which Buddha gave? You will come to know about eight-folded path, right? You will come about the four-folded truths, right? Char Arya Shatya. People, what you know, what they do? They remember all these points, sub points. No need to remember. When you talk about four-folded truth, just for your basic understanding or some learnings out of that, you should read out those four, but it is not required to each word there from the philosophies. What is required when you write your mains answer or this essay, you should have a clear cut feeling what are those things which made these Buddhism philosophy distinguished with that existing philosophy of later Vedic. you will come to know Buddhism did not accept the reality of this soul, but they accepted rebirth. This is the biggest contradiction. Okay. And you can have your short question over that. Good evening, Shivu. Right? The same point you will come in the Jainism as well. So in the Buddhism philosophy, they didn't accept the soul, but they accepted rebirth. It is some important point, and this you can use in your opinion framings as well. Right? Chalo. This was happened. अब क्या होगा? When संघ is there, then obviously इसके जो rules होंगे, there will be some parameters. ठीक है? There will be some terms associated. You will come to know that women were allowed to participate in Sangh's programs or not. अनुशावन, उपोसथ, उपसंपदा. ठीक है? What are these terms? When you will go through that PDF, you will face these terms. You need to remember these 3 to 4 terms. You cannot remember 1,000 words here. Although, if you will study some textbooks, you will find infinite number of words. Not required alert. Okay? You just understand all these 4 words which I have mentioned here related with this. If any personality related with this Sangha, like he was the whole soul in charge of Sangh, then you should remember that personality ka whatever the contribution was, otherwise nahi. Fair? Chaliye. This is the background. This is the philosophy part. Next, what happened after Buddha? It was a revolt, it was a movement. So whether it continued or not, okay? Now you will study about Buddhist councils. What, dear fellows? Buddhist councils. Okay? Means after 100 years or almost a century, you will come up with the ki now whether political patronage was there for Buddhism or not. So over the political patronage, you may have questions for damn sure. Okay? Means Bimbisar, or you can say Ashoka was contemporary to Buddha, right? Or Bindusar or Bimbisar or Prasenjit or Udayan. Getting my point? So remembering these names doesn't make sense, but it makes sense ki whether some great kings gave the patronage or not. So these names becomes important. Fair? One more thing, कि when Buddha was alive, at what places he was attached, be it suppose that Sarnath, the first speech or the ceremony, okay, or Kapil Vastu, or you can say Kushinagar, that Kusinara. So there are some places which Sankat, which were associated with Buddha. Buddha never went to Taxila, okay? Buddha never went to South India. So you are getting ki what places are associated with Buddha. There are 8 places given. You should read those places and get an idea ki what is the logic behind these. And when you are framing your opinion in the mains, in the prelims, you can have the questions over those names. Easily you can eliminate if you have the mindset ki Buddha didn't go there in the Taxila, this Kandhar and all, and here in the South India. Is that clear? So here the political patronage will come into the picture, means places which were associated with Buddha, the political patronage was there or not. Now you will come to know that after almost every century, some king were there, like Buddhist first council, second council, third council, fourth council, right? First council, अब all these councils में what you need to remember, my dear fellows, is some 2-3 important points. Please don't read all those stories. Number first, who presided the council? देखिए, PDF is given to you and everything is written over there. I'm just explaining that. Buddhist council, who presided that? who were the king at that time, where it happened, king, who presided, where it happened, and what were the consequences out of that. For example, Buddhist first council, when it came into the picture, the thing is, Sthavir and Mahasangik, these two partition were happened. When Asoka happened, the Buddhist third council, in that Abhidhamma Pitak was added to that. Sutta Pitak, Vinay Pitak was there, Abhidhamma Pitak was added there. So they may not ask Abhidhamma Pitak was added or not, they may ask who presided that third Buddhist council, where it happened, and who was the king there. Right? Similarly, they came up with Hinayan, Mahayan came into the picture out of Buddhism. Obviously, ये councils हो रहे हैं, different opinions will come into the picture. So, as a logical person, I must have the surety, yes, from here we can have a question. Right? So, Sthabir Mahashangik, Hinayan Mahayan, right? Kanishka के टाइम में. And when Kanishka took interest in it, so now you can try to correlate it with the China and Southeast Asia and all. Fair? So Buddhist councils के बारे में we must follow up the words. ठीक है? Next, when we move on, we will come to know some remarks over that. Background, teachings, his propagation, political patronage after the Buddha, and obviously after some years or centuries the decline will start. Then when the decline started, then whether some persons came into the picture or not, you will come to know about Nagarjun. Even Sankaracharya was called pseudo this Buddhist, right? You will come to know some term about the Shunyavad or Vijnanavad, right? Madhyamik Karika, right? So these figures, these words became important because the logical background, the time of propagation, heights, lows. At lows, what were the reasons, what new sects or religions were coming out, how this was being suppressed. So logically, we must think about this. Clear? The next, the remark part, whether it is in India or in the Southeast Asia like Borobudur. Now, what I suggest you, you need not worry about all those small places. Borobudur is a very highlighted one. You just remember that. That is also in the PDF. Fair? This is the all story or all mindset making what words we need to remember in the Buddhism wala part. Fair? Now come up over the PDF. ठीक है? This PDF is given to you in the Telegram group. Intro, like what I told you. Buddha ka background, mother ka Kolyan clan, why it is important. So the words whatever written means those have some values, those have some depth or logics. So we need to carry those words. Like Uruvela, Rishipatnam. Sarnath was called Rishipatnam. Okay. So you will find such words there in the PDF. If some word is written, definitely that has some sense, logic behind that. Okay. Symbols related to life of Buddha. We must remember these symbols कि when he went out of the home, wandered, enlightened, propagated, then what were the symbols associated with that? Right? Logical question may be there over that. Teachings, I told you what to remember. Then Buddhist council, place where it happened, president who presided, king, the outcome of that. So all Buddhist councils, we need to remember these 4 points. Please believe me, if you remember these words, you can frame your opinion, you can indirectly hit your questions well. It will help you very good, right? Remarks, Borobudur Stupa, ठीक है? Buddhist Panchashil principle was like also related in the Chandogya Upanishad. This is a very crucial point. We must remember it. Okay. Contribution of Buddhism. So that I talked in the later part, right? अब यहां पर क्या है, I could write 2000 pages over this, but that doesn't make sense for us. Okay. The sense is you have a feeling of Buddhism now. I have told you everything. These are the points which you need to remember. Fair? Heenyan, Mahayan, Maitreya, what are those future Buddhas? Padampani, Vajrapani, Satrantik, all these things, how those evolved, those are given chronological order. If you analyze PYQs, which are given here as well, level 1 and level 2, you know, right? How it will help us. So that is given here. So all the PYQs of Buddhism, you can read out those level 1, level 2 analysis of PYQs. You will realize what to focus and what I told you here to focus, right? One extra thing I have done in this PDF. Okay, there are 2 pages. Tick. There are 2 pages which are stories like. So what you guys are suggested, please read this story just by giving your 15 minutes. I have underlined some words also in that story. If you remember that words and if you have a feeling out of that, you could write a very well point in your essay from Buddhism. You could write very well answer in your mains paper, and you can eliminate some options indirectly out of this 2 page story in the Buddhism. Fair it is? PYQs में मुझे बोलने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. Whatever I will speak, everything is written over there. Okay. So anyone, have you done the analysis of PYQs yesterday wala lecture? Anyone did that? PYQs Vedic age wala. Anyone have done yesterday that? Shundaram, yes, you have done that. Fair. So this level 1, Shibu, fair. Level 1 and level 2, is it in understanding manner or not? Means you are getting the points what I have written here or not? शिबू, क्या ये समझ पाए कि इस एनालिसिस से आपको हेल्प हो रहा है? आप उस बात को समझ पा रहे हैं? एलिमिनेट हो रहे हैं? शुभम भाटिया, अंडरस्टूड सर. फेयर, गुड. यश गेटिंग, good, fair enough. So what I suggest you guys, although I can read all these PYQs here inside the class, but that is just wastage of time, dear. Okay, because my theme is prepare UPSC with science optionals or with the logical attitude. Only optional is not the parameter. ठीक है? We will not be wasting our time. Time is very precious. ठीक है? So these notes are very much aligned. So today's session was completely for Buddhism. I suggest you to go through this PDF for Buddhism. ठीक है? Jainism is also given, that we will do by tomorrow or later. But today it is Buddhism, very important topic. Give your proper time to that and try to figure out your opinion, your facts as well, means prelims plus mains plus personality. ठीक है? So it's enough for the class. Okay, we will meet at 10 p.m. for CSET class. ठीक है? Today is the CSET का lecture 1. The link will be over. The new link I will share at 10 p.m. in the Telegram group itself. Okay. So today is the CSET का lecture 1 at 10 p.m. ठीक है? Okay. Fair? Okay. Good night. We'll meet at 10 p.m. for CSET lecture 1. ठीक है? चलो. Good luck. Good night.